Now we're going to look into density. Density determines behavior. The numerical value of density determines whether or not it will float or sink in another material. For instance, cork has a smaller numerical value of density than water, which has a smaller value than brass, which has a smaller value than mercury. And so cork floats in water because the numerical value of density is smaller than that of water. Water has a density of 1 gram per milliliter, and brass has a density of something like 4 grams per milliliter. And then liquid mercury has a density of around 13 grams per milliliter. And it is that numerical value that allows you to predict whether or not something will float or sink in another material. Density is a mathematical relationship. Density is defined as mass over volume. In order to determine the density of a substance from its mass and volume, all you do is you take its mass and you divide it by its volume. Now, we usually express solids and liquids in grams per milliliter or gram per centimeter cubed. However, density can be expressed with all sorts of units. The metric system defines the density of water as being 1 gram per milliliter. At 4 degrees Celsius, it is exactly 1 gram per milliliter. And at temperatures, room temperature and above freezing, the density of water is very close to 1 gram per milliliter. And usually we just say the density of water is 1.00 gram per milliliter, pretty much at all temperatures at which we might deal with it in a laboratory. You are expected to know the density of water. All of the constants for water will be considered something that you need to know or have memorized. Now, specific gravity is used in the medical area. It is not used in the science fields where we do research much, but specific gravity is used in the medical area. Specific gravity is a way of expressing density without units. And what they do is they take the density of the substance and divide it by the density of water at its same temperature. But remember, the density of water at temperatures at which we usually are in, at room temperature, let's say, is 1 gram per milliliter. So basically, you just remove the units from density and you have its specific gravity. To convert specific gravity to density, add gram per milliliter as a unit. The easiest way to use density when it's given to you is to turn it into a conversion factor. You've already learned to use conversion factors, so this is just so easy, and you'll make a lot fewer mistakes than if you try to rearrange it algebraically. So let's look and see how we can do this. Density tells you what the mass is per unit volume. So it's usually given for a liquid or a solid as grams per milliliter or grams per centimeter cubed, which is the same thing as a milliliter. So if it says 0.79 grams per milliliter, well, that's the density of ethanol, and it's written like this right here as a fraction. And you already know that if you can write 0.79 grams over a milliliter, you can flip it over and write it as a milliliter over 0.79 grams, right? Because all you have to do is make sure that the denominator is equal to the numerator. And since it's telling you that there's 0.79 grams in 1 milliliter, it's telling you that those two are equal to each other. So now to use that, all you have to do is put your fraction after your given measurement. Down here, look at 22.0 grams of ethanol. I need to have my fraction for conversion to milliliter having the unit that I want to get rid of canceling out. So it is grams of ethanol being changed to milliliter. so I need to put grams in the denominator. I make sure that the number is the number that is given with the unit in the density. So it says 0.79 grams per milliliter. So I have to make sure that the 0.79 stays with gram. Grams cancels out. Milliliter is the product of this math. And so then you enter in your calculator 22.0 divided by 0.79, and that ends up giving you 28 milliliters. So now what I would like you to do